You wake up and there is no notification waiting for you. No meeting in 40 minutes, no email you forgot to answer, no task list carrying over from yesterday. You open your eyes and the only question that exists is a simple one. What do I actually want to do today? For 99% of human history, this was not a fantasy. This was Tuesday. This was every single morning for roughly 300,000 years. And what people did with that morning looks so different from your life that it is almost impossible to believe we are the same species.
Modern humans spend approximately 90,000 hours of their lives at work. That is 1/3 of every waking hour you will ever have handed to an employer, a schedule, a system. But for the overwhelming majority of human history, that system did not exist. There were no jobs, no wages, no performance reviews, no someone else deciding what your time was worth and offering you a fraction of it back. So what did people actually do all day? The answer is stranger and honestly more uncomfortable than most people expect.
Let's start with the number that changes everything. In 1966, anthropologist Richard Lee embedded himself with the Juhowansi people of the Kalahari Desert in Botswana, one of the last remaining populations still living the way all humans lived before agriculture. He wasn't there to theorize, he was there to measure. He counted hours, he tracked activities, he documented exactly how people spent their days. The result? Adults spent between 15 and 17 hours per week acquiring food. Not per day, per week. The rest of the time was theirs, completely, entirely unscheduled theirs. And before you say, but those are modern people, anthropologists checked. The Hadza of Tanzania, the Aceh of Paraguay, the Martu of Australia. Different continents, different environments, different languages, same result. 15 to 20 hours per week on survival. Everything else, open. You probably work more than that before Wednesday.
But here's the question that actually matters. What did they do with all that time? The bones answer first. When archaeologists compare ancient human skeletons to the skeletons of early farmers, people who came just 10,000 years after them, the difference is not subtle. The farmers were shorter, their spines showed damage from repetitive bending and lifting, their teeth were riddled with decay from grain-heavy diets, their joints showed arthritis at ages that would surprise you. The ancient hunter-gatherers? Taller, denser bones, better teeth, less joint damage. Bodies that look, by skeletal measure, healthier than the people who came after them and invented what we call civilization. Their bones are telling you something. They were not grinding through existence. They were not exhausted. They were not waiting for something better to arrive. They had time, and they used it.
In 1994, 3 explorers crawled through a narrow passage in southern France and found themselves inside Chauvet Cave. On the walls were paintings. Not scratches, not simple marks. Horses rendered with shading and perspective, lions mid-stride, a rhinoceros with a horn so precisely drawn that researchers initially questioned whether it could really be 30,000 years old. Someone had gone deep inside a cave, far enough that no natural light reached them, set up a fire for illumination, and spent what must have been hours, possibly days, creating art that no one else may have ever seen. Not for food, not for survival, not for any reason that a spreadsheet could justify. For the work itself. In Blombos Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found something even older. Perforated shell beads dated to 100,000 years ago. Tiny holes drilled through seashells with stone tools, clearly meant to be strung together and worn. The nearest coastline was 20 kilometers away. Someone walked 40 kilometers round trip, collected specific shells, walked back, then spent hours drilling precise holes through each one, just to wear something that looked a certain way. And in 2008, researchers excavating a cave in southwestern Germany pulled a fragment of hollow bone from the sediment. Vulture wing bone. 5 holes carved into it at deliberate, measured intervals. A flute, 40,000 years old. Whoever made it understood pitch, understood tone, knew what they wanted it to sound like before they started cutting. This was not someone who picked up a bone and made noise. This was someone with opinions about music, who had the time to act on them. 3 objects, 3 continents, separated by tens of thousands of years. Same conclusion. When survival was handled, humans immediately started making things. Not useful things, beautiful things, interesting things, things that had no function except to exist.
So let's actually reconstruct the day. You wake near dawn. The fire from the night before is still going. Someone added wood before sleeping. There is food from yesterday, meat or fish or gathered roots, and breakfast is not something you eat alone while looking at a screen. It is the first social event of the day. People talk, plans form loosely, not because they have to, because that is what humans do when they are together. Mid-morning, a small group might leave to hunt or gather. But here is the part that surprises people. You do not go every day. If the hunt 2 days ago fed everyone well and food is stored, there is no reason to go today. The system does not require it. If hunting happens, it looks nothing like the chase you imagine. Humans are persistence hunters. We do not run faster than our prey. We run longer. We track an animal at a steady jog for hours, sometimes crossing 10 to 20 kilometers until the animal overheats and collapses. It works because we sweat. We are one of the only mammals that cools itself through perspiration while running, which means we can sustain a pace that eventually kills animals that cannot. The hunt takes 3 to 6 hours, including travel. The animal is brought back. Everyone eats together.
And by early afternoon, the productive part of the day is essentially complete. What comes next is what modern people find most difficult to understand. People rest, they sit in the shade, they talk. Adults spend what anthropologist James Woodburn documented as roughly 6 hours per day in pure social time. Not working, not sleeping, not accomplishing anything measurable. Just being with other people, grooming each other, playing with children, telling stories about what happened yesterday and what might happen tomorrow. This is not laziness. This is how survival actually worked. In a world with no written contracts, no legal system, no police, no money, your life depended entirely on whether the people around you wanted to help you. If they liked you, they shared food when you were hungry. If they did not have to. So you invested enormous amounts of time in those relationships. Not because someone told you to, because your body understood at a level below conscious thought that those relationships were as essential as food. Social time was not a break from survival. It was a different kind of survival.
Then the sun went down. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner published an analysis of recorded conversations from the Zhu Huanxi spanning decades of fieldwork. She separated daytime talk from nighttime talk and found something striking. During the day, 77% of conversations were practical. Who saw animal tracks where, which plants were ready, complaints about someone not sharing fairly. At night, around the fire, 81% of conversation shifted to something else entirely. Stories. Myths about how the world began. Tales of ancestors who did things no living person had seen. Jokes that made everyone laugh until they couldn't breathe. Accounts of places far away that most people in the group would never visit. Wiesner's argument was that this is where human culture was actually born. Gods, spirits, moral systems, ideas about what happens after death, concepts of justice and fairness, and what it means to be a good person. None of these things can exist when you are hungry and cold and afraid. They emerge when the fire is lit and the food is eaten.
Then, about 10,000 years ago, something changed. Humans in the Fertile Crescent began planting seeds deliberately, saving green, domesticating animals. Agriculture. And agriculture is the most successful trap ever built. Once you start farming, you can feed more people. More people means you need more food. More food means more land. More land means more labor. More labor means you need more people. The cycle does not have an exit.
The concept of the 40-hour work week is 150 years old. One of these things is built into what you are. The others were added later. And somewhere in the part of you that wakes up on a Sunday morning before the alarm goes off, before the notifications arrive, before the week begins again, you already know which one.